Your event is starting. And we hope we are live. Hey, I hope you guys are seeing me, and I hope that you know that this is Carlos Gomez. Hello, welcome to the Sketch Zone podcast. This show is not specifically, this is for everyone who wants to watch, because this dude is a bad dude. If you ever wanted to get into YouTube, animation, any of that stuff, storytelling even, writing, we got on the show a dude that wrote a book about all that stuff. We're going to be covering things like what the hell is a MCN, how to handle cyberbullying, and even some near-death experiences. You guys, welcome to the show, Bradley Burke. What's up, Swanky Box?
Not much. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, it's been a long week of biting nails and everything. Because if you didn't experience last week, we found out that, well, we were ignoring all the alerts that YouTube was going to change the way that we did the live streaming, and so now we're doing it differently. And so we misfired last week, but we're back strong as ever this week. We're going to get into it with Bradley for a second. But first, let's go ahead and welcome Charlie B. Williams III.
I'm here. I'm back. What's up, nation? It's been a little bit. It's still summertime, and I'm having a great time. That's all I'm going to say right now.
Perfect. Hey, that's Jack Kasperzak.
Yes, I was not here to experience the fun last week, so
lonely without you, Jack.
I'm hoping you got yourselves all cleaned up for me this week.
You know what it was. Is I wanted you to very badly be on the show when we had Brad on, and so I just started.
I'm glad.
I started unplugging things, and it worked out.
Well, I'm glad he actually came back and wasn't like, screw these guys.
Yeah. I like how Jack was like, oh, good. I'm glad you guys got that fixed. Let's talk.
Because I actually read those emails that said they were changing their ways, and I was like, I'm
yeah. We're gonna let them deal with that.
Yeah. So, note to self. Pro tip for all you youngsters sitting out there wanting to start your own podcast and go live with interesting people. Don't ignore the alerts that YouTube is sending you. don't do that.
We didn't ignore it. We just kind of forgot. I told you guys a couple months ago. I was like, we can still do it. It'll be good. We're here now.
Interesting, anyways, because like I felt like at midnight it went down, and then midnight in my area went down, and then suddenly your computer went down, and then your internet went out. Like it was like a triple threat.
Yeah.
Which technically here in Chicago, that's 11 when we go live.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, if we would have did it on Wednesday, it would have been.
Yeah, exactly. No, and then what's even worse is not only did my internet go down, the modem crashed, so I had to restart it, and then for some reason the modem crashing triggered my computer to crash.
Yeah. I was waiting for you to cut back to your room, and it's just all messed up in a rage.
It would have been like just a hole in the house.
But cool, yeah. Well, we're back. So
we are back, and I've been reading this book. I finished it up. First off, congratulations on doing this. This is a big thing. This is a big deal. Why did you want to write a book about being a YouTuber? It's already hard enough being a YouTuber. You want to write a book about it.
I wrote it because when I wanted to get into YouTube, like there was like no guide at the time. Like YouTube was like trying to roll out their like the Creator Academy and stuff like that, but it was only answering the questions that people really didn't want answered. And I think there's a lot of unspoken things about being a content creator or basically being a social entity and making a living from it that a lot of people want answers to, just even on the mental side. because there's so much on the crafting side, actually making the content, but there's just as much on the whole mental side of basically starting your own business and cultivating content and keeping to a schedule. I felt like that was such an important thing. And I feel like just now they're actually getting to those things and touching on those topics. But that's kind of why I wrote it. Honestly, you know, for myself, I always envisioned myself, I guess, writing books. So this book is interesting because before doing a YouTube channel, I thought I would just, you know, write books, but I realized, I didn't have an audience to, you know, read the books. So I was like, well, why don't I start a YouTube channel, try to build it up, and then when I get to that point where I want to keep writing more stories, I'll have cultivated an audience based on people who were attracted to my type of thinking and the way I perceive topics, so that then when I came out with a book, they would find that, you know, more interesting, and I would have an audience for that. So kind of audience development and just basically being able to speak to my passions and connect with other people who have those same passions was what I wanted to do. And then the book came about because when I was creating, I would go to conventions and stuff, and I would meet some of my favorite creators, and oftentimes you had time to ask them like one question. But you have so much more you want to ask besides that just one question. Right. And that led me, you know, after I stumbled through YouTube and I finally found success on the platform, then I was the one doing the panels. I was the one at the convention who was the guest. And the people in the audience were asking the same questions I had. And I was like, no one has answered. No, there's no resource out there for people to get these questions. So that's why I chose the first book to be basically a one-stop shop for building a YouTube channel and building a career off it.
I want to go down a path that you kind of touched on just now, where you wanted to write a book, but you made the realization that you didn't really have the audience yet. Can you expand on that part? Like, for example, there's a lot of people that think they have and probably do have wonderful ideas, and they want to rush to Kickstarter or something like that, but they're still new to the, you know, they might have a few hundred followers on Instagram or something. Can you give them a word of advice as far as building up your audience?
It's kind of like the whole like cart before the horse type of thing. A lot of times people have this amazing thing. A lot of people are talented as well, but the unfortunate part about the online world is you can be extremely talented, but if no one knows you exist, unfortunately, no one's there to discover what you're trying to share. Right. So my advice would be, one, don't get discouraged, because you're going to put stuff out there. So from a YouTube perspective, you're going to put videos out there and no one's going to show up to watch them. That's how it is always when you're starting. But really what you need to do, and this is going to sound cliche about the whole thinking outside of the box, but my advice from a, professional stance is the people who succeed online through any social platform are the people who really approach it from usability perspective. How people perceive your content, how people discover your content. If you start thinking from that point of view, then suddenly things change a bit. Now the people still aren't showing up, but that's your goal kind of changes a bit. So when I was making my videos, even though I felt like I knew a ton about YouTube, people were still not showing up. So I would spend about 10% of my time making my polished video, but 90% of my time was actually getting in front of people. But getting in front of people from a perspective that wasn't spammy and that wasn't like, hey, check out my video. Yeah, I would reach out to, because I would tie my videos to different fan bases. So being in the gaming space, I played a lot of Mario and Zelda and things like that growing up in the Nintendo franchise. So I'd make videos, almost like mini documentaries about these topics that I knew about the people out there that I knew people out there would be interested in them. But I reached out to websites that covered these types of things. I reached out to like, hey, for Zelda, for instance, which is a video game series. I knew there were fan sites that covered things, and they're always looking for content. And I tried to understand the relationship between a content creator and a writer. So if your profession is writing, oftentimes you're working on a website, you get to produce X amount of pieces a week. And sometimes you spend a lot of time digging for topics, looking for that scoop to write about. So my strategy was like, well, if I can give someone a polished email with a great video, an explanation, all this stuff, and they wake up in the morning, I could just save them 2 or 3 hours of their time. Now, mind you, they can choose what they want to write about. But when I started focusing and making my content around that, so that it was shareable, so that other people could experience and get a feeling out of it, that's when I started seeing a shift. And that sort of, I guess, frame of mind is so important, because so many people want to like just make the things they want to make and then toss it out there and hope that like something happens with it. But more times than not, nothing happens. So really getting into the mind of someone who would enjoy this type of stuff, kind of reverse engineering how someone will discover it, share it, and all that stuff is super, super important for building an audience.
So it's, I mean, obviously what it sounds like you're saying is really knowing your target audience and kind of getting in their shoes, but like more so than like, hey, what kind of content would they like? It's also like, how do they receive media? How do they look at media? How do they seek out what they're looking for, and kind of embracing that? Is that kind of summing that up?
Yeah, I'm going to turn my audio just a second. I saw people were mentioning that. Hopefully, is that a little bit louder?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of, sorry, in terms of what you're saying, getting inside the heads of people who might be looking for that stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, but not just in terms of like, what does my target audience want to watch, but also like, how do they watch it, and like, and what's the best way to get it to them, and what are they thinking when they go and seek this out? So it's like you can feed along all those channels.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, this happens all around us. So I think of like, YouTube's just another medium of, I guess, perceiving entertainment. I think of like even like Netflix. When I watch Netflix, they do the same thing. They're always studying how people perceive content. You might even check that you go on and you find out that thumbnails are swapped out. Your favorite show now has a different image in front of it. Little subtleties like that can cause someone to stop scrolling and check something out when they wouldn't have given it the chance before. Like that frame of mind, understanding how people perceive images and what makes them decide to click on something, indulge in something, watch something. That is the most important part. And people who really dive into that and put that first are the people who do find success. It's still not easy, because everything is driven by visibility, but if you're leading with that, you're going to have a much easier time, and you also won't get as discouraged, because I feel like if you're already in that frame of mind, this is what you're working on isn't just you put something out and you're instantly famous. It's like you're building a statue like with Legos, and it's brick by brick.
There are people out there that do get lucky with, that one cat video, but that's just it. Like, literally a one-trick pony.
Galaxy cat. Yeah.
But they fizzle.
That's actually super dangerous too. Like, everyone wants a viral hit. And even in the corporate world, people are like, we want to go viral. We want to have our campaign go viral. Yeah. And like, if you're a content creator and your video goes viral, two things happen. One, you get an audience that actually doesn't care about you. They subscribed or they followed you, and then they forget who you are. Right. And two, the people who do remember subscribe for one single thing, and if you don't make that thing again, then you're screwed. So like, if you give, if a video of your cat goes viral, well, it looks like you're doing cat videos, because that's why everyone showed up.
So what you're saying is a gift and a curse.
Yeah, and I had that same experience with myself. I mean, I saw a particular game series that was coming out that was I knew had a lot of searchability. A lot of people were going to be playing it. So I indulged in it. I did a couple of different videos on it. The views were exponentially more than I was getting in my other videos. And then what I realized was, even though I was making videos for a certain demographic, an older demographic, people who played the earlier video games like Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, that era, I was cultivating an audience of people who were 10 years old, 11 years old, people who were born either after that time or didn't experience it the same way. And then I was like, holy crap, I have these two audiences, and the one is actually the bigger audience is actually not the one I set out to actually get. And I actually took me about a year to kind of reorganize things and finally, attract the right people back that I wanted.
Now, what's funny is, well, to spoiler alert, Brad and I met at VidCon this year, and he was a wonderful dude. And then we just kept bumping into each other a few times, which was fantastic. And then I started watching all your videos and stuff. And then when I got to reading your book, I wanted to ask you, is it weird that when I read your book, the words in my brain were your voice?
No, you honestly,
so weird.
I kind of hear that a lot. And not even with me. I think it's the same thing. Like if I pick up other people's books, and I read them, I always read them in their voice. I think it's just something like you get used to talking to that person, so the voice in your head just auto plays as that person's voice.
Yeah.
But I also think it's kind of cool that way. I don't know
why.
It
makes it better. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's like it feels a little more intimate, a little bit more like you are just extending that conversation you had with that one person.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was really cool. I realized that just a few days ago. I was like, why is he in my head right now? But there was a passage in there that I actually took a picture of that is relevant to a couple topics like a couple minutes ago that I sent to Jack. And it said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And I think that's a very important message for, and now you guys don't have to buy the book because I just spoiled the entire thing. No, I think that's an important message. If you are going into this YouTube thing just because you think that it's a lazy person's job, it's not for you. It's the opposite of that. Mm-hmm. How much work does it take for you to, well, first off, what kinds of videos do you make? And then, and I know you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but what kind of videos do you make and how much time does it take you to get those videos done?
So the types of videos I make are almost like mini video game documentaries. So prior to doing YouTube, I was in the corporate advertising space. So I did a lot of
yeah, sorry about that.
Story. It wasn't so bad. I mean, like storytelling, like I still got to tell stories. I still got to tell. I mean, so it wasn't that bad. So, but I came from doing animation in that space, from video production, and basically just storytelling in general for media. So when I got into YouTube's a different ball game because one, I was a perfectionist, right? So I always wanted to make my things as polished as possible. And I was spending so much time making something, trying to make it 100% perfect, when in reality that wasn't possible at all. There's always going to be a flaw in something. There's always something you can do better. So when I was making these things, which are those gaming documentaries, so I guess I should take a step back. Those gaming documentaries are basically, I pick a topic from a game, particularly a game that I have nostalgia with, something I was played fondly growing up, that other people have similar experiences with. And I kind of create a nostalgia-focused documentary while I'm introducing concepts and things from the game that people may have not known about. So it's kind of like people get into it for the nostalgia, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I never knew that even existed. You just changed my perception on this level or this character from this game. Now, the problem with that is a lot of the stuff took a long time because as a YouTuber, especially starting out, you are a one-man army or a one-woman army. You basically are everything. You write the script, you do the research, you have to film it, you have to edit it, you have to make the thumbnail, you have to optimize it for YouTube.
You have to pick the music. You have to.
Yeah, I mean, and basically you run. I mean, for me, it's like then I get to the phase of like, okay, well, now that all this is packaged together, does it make sense? From a user's perspective, does this thumbnail convert with this title to make people actually understand what the video is about? All of this, when I started out, I was spending probably 40 hours on the video.
Wow.
And that's just the video production because you are running a business. So you have to do all the emailing. You have to, again, 90% of the work was getting the video out there after you made it. So, and even today, I would say my work week is anywhere from probably 50 hours to 55 sometimes. And I think the reason it is also because you got to enjoy what you do. I mean, I really, truly wake up every day and I enjoy what I do. And that also makes the hours kind of fly on by a little bit because you're passionate about it. It doesn't, at times it does not feel like work. There are aspects that do feel like work, but I love video production. I love the video games. I like animating. I can do all of that on YouTube without having, kind of like being art directed or anything by someone else, especially as a creative individual. That can be hard. So that kind of it. So yeah, right now videos are a little bit more streamlined. I work with some editors who are really monumental to the channel, helping out with stuff. One of my buddies helps us do some of the filming. So the team has grown a little bit. It's no longer just me, but with those people's help, we're able to accomplish things much faster, but also keep up with the demand of continually facilitating content.
I want to go back to a question that Landon put out there. It said, how did you change your audience from 10 years old to an older audience? I think it's the other way around. How did you go from focusing on the older audience and then tailoring it to the younger audience?
It's actually flipped. It is flipped. I did want the older, just because the younger, the kids didn't have the nostalgia that I had, so it wouldn't click with them.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Painfully shedding my audience over a year. Eventually people would go away. Because everyone who subscribes to your channel or follows you online, they may not be there forever. They may just be someone who thought something was interesting and they eventually, shed from that. They eventually leave, depart. It's kind of like ripping off a Band-Aid. You just eventually, I'm like, well, I had to put out content that these people probably won't enjoy, and I'm not going to get good views from it. And that's what I did. And the channel actually, I had a big boost when all this stuff was happening, and the next year was kind of mellow. And honestly, it wasn't the best, but I was still growing. But it was growing pains, just kind of forcing eventually those people. And it worked. It just took a long time. But yeah, it was just basically putting out content that I knew the audience that I wanted to see and that I wanted to make. And eventually it did transform over time.
And that's a lot like any TV studio out there, right? They'll come up with an idea for a weekly sitcom or something. They put it out there, they give you 2-3 shows, and if it doesn't catch on, they just move on and they throw like Friends reruns or whatever the hell they do to keep their numbers up. But it's the same, we're playing the same game as these big, huge TV studios. But the cool thing is we have the flexibility to create exactly what we want to see.
Right. And it's, unfortunately, you're still governed by a sorting algorithm. The algorithm on YouTube is understanding that comes to the other aspect of the usability. So you have the usability of the people, then you have the usability of the machine. And understanding how that operates is another whole can of worms, but you kind of get that anywhere you go. I've even reading some things about certain Netflix shows that were like being discontinued, not because the show wasn't good, but because people couldn't find it because it wasn't populating up in their suggestions. So like it was like the people who made BoJack Horseman made another show that should have done very well, just like the original show, and it didn't, and I think it was canceled. And then you have very similar things with other animated series, and like it's unfortunate. In the Netflix world, I don't know how that works. In the YouTube space, I do understand how the sorting algorithm works and stuff like that, but that is the only unfortunate part is like, even though at the end of the day, we can still be, I guess, the champions of what we do, to some degree, we have to operate within the constraints of whatever platform we're operating on.
So question real quick.
Go for it.
So talking about that, the biggest question I would have then is how did you break through that ceiling then? Because if you have to battle with the algorithms, if you're starting out, if you're a YouTuber that starts out, a Twitch streamer, whatever you want to call it, mixer, whatever, and you're the one-man show, right? How do you break through that proverbial ceiling to get the content up, so that people start to see it, if it takes you so long to do things because you're the only guy doing it, like editing and stuff like that? Because naturally you'll get faster, naturally you'll start to have a team, you hire those special people called editors to help you edit the content so you can start to get a flow going. But what was the biggest factor in you breaking through that initial wall to get people to see your content if you're not putting content out as fast as other channels?
I would say, I mean, when I started out, I would say the idea is it's not a race. A lot of people feel like unless they're putting out stuff consistently, when you're still small, that you're never going to grow. And the thing is, this is why I tell people who want to get into Twitch or YouTube, start with YouTube, and then if you want to eventually become a live streamer, migrate. Because on Twitch, you have literally nothing helping you being discovered. On YouTube, you still have the searchability, and that's such an important thing. And when I was starting out, like my first year of doing YouTube, I only put out, so from January of 2015 to mid-October, I think I put out 6 videos.
Okay.
So the thing is, though, because for those first videos, like I could have pumped them out, right? But it was more important for me to stick on topics and make those actually good videos and lay a foundation of programming on my channel so that when people did discover it, they could binge watch my content. And that's what actually makes someone subscribe. But beyond that gives you some experimenting as well, some room for experimenting when you're putting out these videos. Like, okay, well, this didn't work last time. How can I craft this message? And, what are some websites I can reach out to, or can I get some support on Reddit through this? You want to focus on getting your views off of YouTube, because the way YouTube operates is you need people tuning in and giving you watch time in order to have your video pop up in recommendations. Having an amazing video without watch time is like having a car with no fuel. Yeah. So you can't get from point A to point B unless you have people giving it energy. And that's why you got to think outside the box in terms of getting people to, because like what happened was a lot of the stuff that I did, and this is also actually something I did in the book. I did not mention in the book because I didn't want people to think they had to have a financial barrier. Is I even dabbled with some videos testing what would happen if I ran my video as an advertisement,
right,
and then cut the ad.
I was going to ask that question next. Okay, yeah.
Because as long as your video is engaging, obviously people are going to be turned off because it pops up as an ad, right? I don't recommend doing pre-roll ads, but you can do discoverable, which means someone actually has to click into it to watch the video, which means they already have interest. They saw it. They're like, okay, I know this is an ad, but I'm going to watch it anyways. Yeah. That buy-in is way more important than just saying, hey, guys, watch this, and showing it to them when they don't have a choice.
Right.
But that, I actually did a couple of videos with that, too, where I would run it for a bit, and I would cut the ad. And that's actually how I got one of my videos to take off. But I tried experimenting a couple different times. I did the blogs were actually probably the most helpful because you could borrow someone else's audience. If you made something really good that tied into a specific fan base and it made it easier for their job, of course they want to share it because like this is really neat. Thank you for sending this over. And I actually got a lot of viewership from those. Then I took a deep usability dive on Reddit and made an imager post that funneled into a video on my channel that actually made it to the front page of Reddit. But there was a lot of social engineering that went into it. Like, it's not just like I tossed it out there. Like, it was literally like we're down to the order of images and how they're framed and everything. Like, we're studying, like, what does someone feel when they go to this image and this image? It's kind of almost it's crazy.
You literally Stranger Things Netflix your like YouTube career. Like, because like if you had 6 amazing videos, right? And then you figured out cool creative marketing to push some of those videos, in these different outlets. Then someone's gonna find someone, Charlie found your YouTube video, right? Watch it, like that one, like the other one, watch the other one while I'm on my way to work, and keep next. Oh, I still got 3 more because he has 6 of these things up. By the 3rd or 4th one, they're probably gonna subscribe because they like it. They watch the rest of your content because they still have content to watch on your channel. Meanwhile, if you're just starting out, hypothetically, that gives you time to make new content, and the new person that just came to your channel because they found you in whatever emergent way, it's like, oh, there's a new video up. It'll pop up on their YouTube like trending thing or whatever. Like, oh, that channel I just subscribed to has a new video up next month, and now you can. That's a cool way of. It's very interesting. Way of
it's like you are. I mean, your YouTube channel is like a TV show. Yeah. You want to put content out there so when people they know what to expect. But when you're starting out, this is why I tell people like you don't need to rush into it and make tons and tons of content, because like oftentimes people get into YouTube and they actually don't know what they really want to do. They know they want to do YouTube. They don't know what's going to stick with people. Right. And then a fluke video or something where they're like, and then they find out like, oh, people are actually interested in this. Well, I could actually make a go out of this. I could be that person who does this specific thing. Mm-hmm. So that, but also you kind of touched on a little bit. You said, I think you mentioned Stranger Things, like right. The idea of keeping in your head when it goes to, in terms of borrowing an audience, people are going to be searching for things around topics that are booming, right?
Right.
So if Stranger Things, like Stranger Things season 3, when that was coming out,
right,
knowing that you could have prepped a video ahead of time, and then released it, knowing that not only do you not have, you may not have the audience, but you have the boost of searchability of a lot of people looking for that, and a lot of people are going to have questions. And one thing I recommend is open up YouTube in a private browser, and they start typing into that autofill bar. It's all going to populate with search terms and questions that people already have, meaning people are looking for this stuff. And oftentimes you can cater your content around what people are looking for. Yeah. So if I know people are looking for, a lot of people do this, like Stranger Things 3, I can think of people did recap videos. I don't remember what happened in season 1 and 2. I need a recap. Boom. Or topics about the actors, about the storyline. Yeah. If you felt like it was moving in a good direction, all these things are things that people are interested in. You can do that technically with any kind of piece of media. You can borrow that, and then like the people who tune in for this stuff, a lot of them will leave, but they're going to be that select few, or the group of people who stay because they like you for you, and then that's when you build the audience with those type of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's what's happening. That's the beauty of like Twitch, from the study I did in that's how a lot of people get on. One of the biggest streamers right now, Ninja, that's how he got on, right? Fortnite was a brand new game. He was already a really good player, right? He already had some nominal success, but putting that game on, people search for the newest thing that's out, the newest, hottest thing, and if you're pretty good at it, you'll get people to watch you. And then through just really good marketing that he did with other things and famous stars and other stuff like that, it kind of, plateaued or kickstarted his career into the stratosphere, So that's a great nugget for everybody listening on the chat of different ways to try to figure out what you like. And then I think probably from that, like, private browser, look at YouTube and what people are looking at, you might really like, it's probably a good way of finding out what you actually like. Cause then you might find that, I do like to do recap videos, or whatever, something like that. Oh, I want to know about that,
Let me,
go ahead.
Sorry. I wanted to chime in real quick. The difference between doing YouTube and Twitch and why beginners should probably think about going YouTube first. Mm-hmm. I guess we've been doing this show for 4 almost 5 years now, but I tried to go Twitch and draw things on Twitch. And I realized that for as outgoing and talkative as I am, if I'm drawing, I have a tendency to get quiet. And those are the people that Twitch doesn't want that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they want those outgoing personalities that are able to talk and draw at the same time. Yeah. Whereas if you start with YouTube, what you do is you can make those videos, but then you chop it up real nice, and then you get all the dead noise out, and then that way you have your content, and you get used to being in front of the camera because Bradley, it's not easy being in front of a camera.
Well, a lot of YouTubers don't win, right? They don't make it on Twitch because they can't do that. They're used to chopping it up.
Exactly. There was the Paul brothers when they they were so used to making montages of vlogs, and when they tried doing Twitch, people were like, "This is how you actually really are.
You're horrible. We hate you."
Yeah, basically. I mean, you think about it, like, because I don't watch their content, but like they're always in your face because it's such high energy. Like literally every shot they're screaming and they cut. They're screaming and they cut.
Yeah.
When we piece it together, it's like this person has unlimited energy. then you actually just record them live, and then like they have zero energy.
There's been a bunch of people that think they can move over to Twitch and have big followings. I tend to watch Twitch a lot and have big followings and cannot do it because like, and then you fall into the like stereotypical one. And Swanky can talk about this. Like you fall into the like, hey guys, what's up? Like almost like radio announcer, and you could do that for your whole content segment. But on Twitch, you know, like I said, it's like live TV, even more live TV, where there's no cutting. You know, you have to be able to do that the whole time, and some people can't do that the whole time. There's very few. There's only a couple people I've seen that are like, man, that dude is on all the time. It makes me feel tired.
Yeah.
So
Jack,
to kind of connect the two things, because earlier Carlos asked how much time you spend, you know, a week doing a video, but we've done more talking about not doing videos and like marketing and learning the algorithm and like outreach and blogs and like all this other admin and kind of like creative stuff. So like, what's the balance? Like how much time are you actually doing a video versus like all that goes into maintaining a YouTube channel?
At the beginning, it's very much like a 1 to 10 ratio, where even though making video takes a lot of time, you are spending more time actually trying to get people to watch it. Versus now, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to fight for audience. Yeah. When I put a video out, you know, thousands of people go up. I mean, that was going to
be like a follow-up. Do you really have to do that at all? Do you do any kind of marketing or experimenting, or is it all just kind of self-maintaining at this point?
In terms of, I don't push it anywhere. I'm at a point where it's like the video itself will carry, you know, it's the message and stuff. I don't need to actually give it a manual push. More so, I spend more time now thinking about how the thumbnail and the title work together, and is it enough to make someone click on it? But also, is it interesting and not misleading for what the video is about? So that's actually where most of my time now goes. I guess when I say most of my time, most of my critical thinking goes towards that versus not figuring out how to get people to the video, but what is the best way? Because you can frame the same topic hundreds of different ways. Yeah. One of those is going to bring people in herds, and others are going to be like, no one, it's going to be crickets. So that's a big thing. And a lot of that's just through experimentation, seeing what works in other videos, checking out other creators. Like why is this video getting, you know, hundreds of thousands of views? What is it about the title? Is it something about the thumbnail? So I do spend more time with that, but kind of going back to your question is, most of my time now is spent writing my ideas, and more, I guess, preliminary editing, but also just the idea of crafting thumbnails and the actual message to make it. Because even the way you paste your message is so important, because you could show up for something and like, hey guys, you're here for this. Here's this, and then it's still a 10-minute video, and then they leave. And you also don't want to like wiggle and like waste people's time either. But like, as long as you're delivering value through the entirety of the video, they're not going to feel like they got cheated by the end of it, because everything was super important, and then the payoff at the end was amazing. And that writing style and framing messages that way is super important, because everything runs on watch time. So the more watch time, the higher your retention rates are, the better your click-through rates are on your videos. Your videos will pop off. And that's how like a lot of my videos, I mean, my channel earlier this year, obviously I'm over like 200,000, closing in on 300,000 followers on it. A lot of my videos were getting, some of them 1 million, some of them 500,000, 600,000, because once it left my audience's hands, YouTube did the rest. They knew people were watching a lot of the video, so that they would recommend it, because they could run higher paying ads in the video. They could then make money themselves, YouTube as an entity. But all of that is based off of the writing and thinking about how people perceive things. So that's a lot of where my time goes now.
I wanted, there's a couple things that I'm like dying to get to.
We'll get to them.
Did you see the Jack? Did you see the motion?
That was a lot of pent up energy in it.
Yeah, seriously. All right, so
breathe.
we're still on this topic. And we see this happen not just on YouTube, but we also see it on Instagram and pretty much any social network where people try to figure out the algorithm. And I always tell people, if you have, like, on Instagram, I currently have 1,400 followers. That's because my artwork is 1,400 followers worth. You know what I mean? So if you want, well, actually, let me say it like this. Please explain to folks that might be hearing us the importance of trying to figure out the algorithm versus making quality content.
I think it's a good balancing act because, I mean, your quality content by far is definitely the most important because if you figure out the algorithm but you got crap, then you're wasting your opportunity versus if you have amazing stuff lined up and then, you know, you strike gold, it's gonna go far. And I think, and another thing is you talked about, I would not agree with your stance in terms of your followers justifying how good you are. Kind of goes back to that thing I said before. You can be an amazing artist, you can be an amazing content creator, whatever it is. Unfortunately, the system is going to work against you. The people at the top are often not the most talented people. It's just they resonate with people more than, or they touch a level of people that makes them want to engage in that person. But we cannot also discredit the factor of luck. Luck is such, I mean, this is why I kind of wrote the book to begin with, because what would happen is you'd have a lot of these bigger creators, bigger stars, giving advice to smaller creators and people starting out. And the advice was just missing the mark. They talk about how, like, oh yeah, and I did this and everything changed. And like, well, you just got to keep putting good stuff out. And it's like, well, you're missing the point. You're missing all these other people in this audience who are asking these questions. They're asking these questions because they've been where you were for much longer than you were. And they haven't gotten that lucky break. And a lot of times their audience, they're like, well, preaching from a large channel perspective, they don't understand the pain points of a small creator again. So even if you make great stuff, there's a chance your stuff's not going to take off. And that's why I say the most important thing is thinking outside the box. You know, you make good stuff. How can I get, I mean, it's all a marketing thing, and it sucks if you're not good at marketing, you're going to have to become good at marketing because that's really what all it is. Yeah. It's so important. And this is why we get frustrated as creators too, because I mean, it sucks. We might see something and like this person, they whip that up in like a minute and then like has millions of views or something. And then we're like, I just spent a whole week doing this and like no one saw it. So we cannot discount luck. We cannot let numbers justify our worth because it gets very dehumanizing. But more so, also don't let other people walk all over you if they have more numbers than you, because I think it's such a silly concept. We're all humans. It doesn't matter really what you have next to your name. But with that said, again, quality content is the most important. And just do a lot of reading on the algorithm. There's going to be a lot of people talking about it. Not everyone's going to understand it fully, but every single conversation about it is going to give you a little piece of the puzzle until you can eventually figure it out for yourself. But yeah, that's kind of, there's no real clear answer to that, but that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Cool.
But how excited are you that you have a background in advertising?
It helped a lot. I mean, really, because I mean, I, in terms of starting, it's like kind of like if it's a race, right? I was able to start at the start line where everyone else who didn't have the same background as me is starting way before the start line. They got to learn all the skills to even get to the start line. So being blessed with, being a good editor and animator helped me make quality content right out of the gate. So I didn't have to spend a lot of time learning editing and these things. So my career path before YouTube really helped out a lot. So yeah, I was definitely very, very fortunate and lucky that I had that right out of the get-go, because I probably would have wasted more time. Not so much wasted more time, but it would have been my timeline would have been a lot longer than it actually was.
Right.
How long did it take you until you started, until YouTube prove to be a viable career move for you?
It took me 9 months to go from 1 subscriber to 1,000, and then it took me exactly almost 1 year to go from 1,000 to 100,000.
Wow.
Because it's all exponential. So obviously you're not making any income when you are, when you're starting out.
4,000, yeah.
So for me, it's like I actually, in the book, this is something I talk about as well. It's like I did something dumb. I saved up and I quit, and it was a huge gamble. And I do not recommend anyone do that. I was very fortunate to be able to do that. First off,
yeah.
But
you just
jumped. It's much more wise to stay where you're at, create stuff on the side. Eventually, you're going to see the jumping point.
Yeah.
But don't jump too early, because if it doesn't work out, then you're stuck, with that decision you made, and might be hard to get back to where you came from. Right. So, it did became pretty decently lucrative in terms of paying the bills and stuff like that. Probably after, so I hit 100,000. 1,000 on October 31st of 2015. I would say by that year, by 2 months, 3 months from that point, I was already making a decent amount where I could pay my rent.
Nice.
So that helped a lot, because that's obviously people's biggest worry is like, I got to pay bills to maintain this.
Right.
If I was still at a job or still doing freelance work, that would make things easier. And I was still doing freelance work. But I meant like in terms of like other people's journeys, again, budget. Definitely don't turn down stuff. Keep up with what you're doing at your day job. And then, like I said, eventually there's going to be a point where the figures and what's going on YouTube is going to make you question what you're doing at your day job. And eventually you probably will take the plunge.
And then, Margaret is going to eat your peanut butter and jelly sandwich out of the corporate fridge, and you're going to get upset and you're going to quit and start YouTube anyway. So let's go back to you being an animator and in the ad world. What was it? What was the thing that pushed you into animation?
I think I was always drawn to animation. I really liked, I watched so many cartoons growing up that it was gaming and cartoons and that were like, they were equal. So when it came to interest, that naturally led me to drawing. And then drawing eventually led to animation. So the type of animation I did in the corporate world obviously is not the frame by frame or traditional animation and stuff like that. But
was it more like motion graphics and stuff?
Yeah, the fact that I can make things move, and even simple characters, bring simple characters to life. Because even in some of these animations, we still did have characters. That was liberating. I thought it was fun. Deciding to do that, I think it was just like I was like any other kid out there or anyone else who doesn't know what to do with their future. I chose it because I'm like, well, this seems enjoyable. We'll see if it works out. And I got lucky. I mean, I think it's funny because I actually went to college for 3D animation and hated it. It was not my cup of tea. And then I found out I enjoyed video production, web design, and then 2D animation without the rigging and all that stuff. It was much more interesting to me.
Say it, Flash. Say it.
Flash.
He didn't say Flash.
I did not say Flash.
I did.
Flash.
Yes. I did. Internet is going down. Internet's going down.
No one.
Action scripting used to be my jam.
Oh gosh.
Me too. Hey, I bought a condo because I could action script.
There was a time where action scripting was like the pinnacle. And then no one wanted to do it. It's like very few people were good at it. So it's like, yeah, you could get a lot of projects that way.
Yeah, that was a killer, dude. There was a point in my career when I was down in LA doing action script and stuff. And it was a transition. It was like right after Steve Jobs said, Flash is never going to run on an iPhone, all that stupid silliness. But people would go overseas to get their Flash work done and their action script work done. And then it was inevitable. Those folks would screw it all up. And I was making so much money trying to save the day. It was cool.
Well, like it's also being in like a position where your job is to save the day makes it that much easier to negotiate a better rate, your fair rate, because like you already spent this money. This person bombed the project. I'm gonna be your saving grace, but this is my cost. And then like they need it done, so like you kind of you win out on the situation.
Yeah, it was a good time for Carlos.
It's a good time.
And what was cool was it was a lot of movie projects too. So, what was your life like when you were still at the advertising agency?
It's I always tell people this. So
and I'm setting you up because I was in the advertising agency.
The best way I can describe it is I compare it to this is one episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. There's this episode of SpongeBob SquarePants where Squidward goes to a town of all Squidwards and he does all the things he loves all the time. He rides his bike, he goes out, he buys his specific bread that he likes, whatever he does, right? And it's glorious for the first week. And then he slowly starts getting drained to the point where he absolutely detests the place he's at. That was kind of my journey. It wasn't actually the environment. I think I was just being creatively drained. And beyond that, this was a time when YouTube was emerging. So I was watching a lot of these, what grew to be my favorite creators come out of the woodwork with these small channels growing into these monstrous channels that they are, all while I was at my desk job, tweaking videos about, paperless processes and stuff like that. Enterprise content management, really boring things. And that kind of drove me to the point where I'm like, if I don't do this now, this is my future. And like, not that my future, not where I was at was bad by any means, but like, I think you understand this. If you're a creative individual and you're not getting creatively fulfilled, or you feel like you're not being validated for your work, it's just like it slowly eats away at you. And that was happening with me. It's like, because like also in the creative field, you're awesome. Oftentimes in environments like that, you're at the bottom of the food chain.
Right.
You have your project managers and then management above them, and then you have the client.
Yeah.
All of them can miss their deadlines, but no, it's the video person or the animator or the person actually making the content who cannot make their deadline, cannot miss their deadline.
Right.
And that's just how it was a repeating process. And like, I was good. I could crank good stuff out fast, but it just got tiring watching other people just being, without that huge burden on top of them, making a living and just making stuff and have it resonate with people. It was night and day. And I could not look away from it. When I was editing, I had 2 monitors. I was editing and animating on this one, and I was watching YouTube on this one. And I think that's like, it got me through my days. And like, when times like I was worried that people were like, oh, he spends so much time watching YouTube, I just minimized it and I would listen to YouTube. Yeah. So it's just like,
right.
I don't know. It got to a point where I just need to take that creative leap.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like that too. I worked at Leo Burnett. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're like the number 2, I think, ad agency on the planet. And it was that exactly what you described. Like, it's amazing how no one, it seems like, and I know that everyone was doing their work, but it seems like no one was doing work until like a Friday late morning. Then all of a sudden everyone needed to prove their existence. So then they would just, there goes the weekend, because people wanted to change things and do things. And then by the end of it, you're just tattered and torn and you have no life left. You finally deliver, the thing, and okay, we'll see you on Monday. Like, what the hell?
Well, that's the worst part too, because like a lot of times those people, they drop on your desk and then they leave for the weekend, and then you're like,
So
and,
that's
like,
how this is going to happen.
Yeah, too much. I mean, the thing is, like, because there's no repercussions for doing that, a lot of times in these corporate establishments, because the trade show or the event or the client it's tied to is the most important thing. It's just a repeating process, and no one's ever gonna, I guess, defend you because you are the one making everything happen, but also you're at the bottom of the food chain, and it's just a very, very unfortunate situation in a lot of these places.
If you don't deliver, there's the entire team pays the price.
But you get blamed for it, even though everyone else missed all of their deadlines.
Yeah. Do you set deadlines and stuff like that for yourself? Like, how structured is your operation?
It's pretty structured, I think, and naturally you have to be accustomed to making and keeping deadlines because, I mean, treating it like a TV show, you want to have a weekly episode at least. At least in my shoes, I want to have a weekly episode. Now that I'm going strong, so I have to make sure deadlines are hit in terms of production. I have to account that if an issue happens or like I have rendering issues or something goes wrong, that I'm still covered. Also, being self-employed, you have to manage your time because something could come up that ruins your entire week, but you still have to technically have an episode out. Same thing goes with paid time off. I mean, you don't have PTO. You want to take time off. Well, your workload for the previous week is now doubled.
Right. You gotta
have
a video in the queue.
Prep
basically.
that video, put it in the queue.
Yep.
You're
So
right.
scheduling is super important. Batching your work is also important. When you get into a stride, don't just focus on one video. Try to knock out two or try to write two in a day or something. That way, you always have one up your sleeve. If something, if you need an emergency video, you have one.
Yeah.
But it makes you disciplined. Very, very much so.
Cool.
I was leaving myself a note, because that's a really good move, right? Like, so let's say you have written content that you're creating for YouTube. It would make sense to have, say, 2 or 3 scripts either done or close to being done. And one day you write scripts, the next day you shoot a bunch of videos, the next day you pick music. Because once you, as creative, and all of us here are creatives, and we know what that is when you're waiting for that wave to come and you finally catch it. Like if you're say you're listening to music and then you have to jump off that quote unquote surfboard to go write a script or shoot some video, it's a hard thing for your brain to switch back over.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're already on that surfboard, you might as well just knock a bunch of this very similar things out.
Right. And it's like 2 different phases too, like catch up mode. You're always, if you're always producing the video that you're on for that week, you're always behind technically, because as soon as that video goes live, the process goes and starts all over again. So it's that's what's, because a lot of people get stuck in this funnel where they are chained to their desk because they're not thinking about how they can produce stuff in a way that allows them free time.
So important.
So that's why being up a video or up 2 videos. Okay. If something happens, cool. It's I already have a video for this week. I for myself, I actually have a couple videos in the works. And I actually have a couple done. I have one, it's done, and I'm just waiting for Nintendo to put out the next game. So I just launch it 2 days before the game comes out. So that one's slated for end of September. Because I know otherwise, if I put that on my channel, it wouldn't have the searchability it would have around that time. But definitely playing catch up is not fun. And you always want to think of how you can batch your work. There are some creators. There's actually a creator who does top 10 fact lists. It's Matthew Santoro. He just got done doing he didn't tell anyone, but you would never know. He was gone for an entire month. He batched all his work and he took a month off, and no one knew because he scheduled all his videos, he scheduled all his tweets, and it just was on autopilot. So that was super liberating for him as a creator because it gave him time to just get out of YouTube mode and really be present again and then reassess what he wants to do going forward. But no one even knew. People were just, they tune in for their episode.
That's cool.
That's cool. Man.
That's also the reason why I like doing YouTube versus Twitch. Twitch is so personality focused, and that's the easiest way to win people. Personality is the best aspect. That's what you want to strive for. For me, myself, I bring people with an interesting topic. The topic is unfortunately more interesting. Is more frontward facing than the personality, but I try to win people over the personality. But like in terms of that kind of thing, when you have when you eventually build up, it's kind of like I don't know, like your level and personality where people are tuning in just for your stuff. You can do that. And that's why one of the things I like about YouTube is I don't have to be at some place during a certain specific time. Like if I have a schedule, like I know all my friends who are, do Twitch full time, they're there, 6 to 10 every night or something. And that's their entire week. And that's fine.
But how do you schedule that or take any time off or?
Yeah.
They're there. They're on all the time, Jack.
And then people get paranoid because they'll schedule like a convention appearance, and then while they're at the convention, they're realizing that people are unsubscribing from their Twitch, and then they get panicked, and then they feel like they have to go even harder when they get home. So it's like YouTube. What I like about it is when you get it going, it allows you freedom if you play your cards right, because you could build up enough stuff so that, okay, I'm going to take a week off, or I'm going to do this, versus if you're live and on the go all the time, you can't do that.
Okay.
Right. I'm trying to figure out a solution to that problem. And the solution is I'm happy that I don't have that problem. I was thinking, like, let's say Charlie had a Twitch channel and he wanted to take some time off. He could, like, I guess I could stream with / for him to keep.
You could have those like sponsored ones. You could do that. I mean, or you could set it up where a lot of people have a schedule, right? They do have a schedule. They have days they know they're not streaming, and when they aren't streaming, they're promoting other channels with
the audience is so finicky. Like if you were a Twitch person and your channel is directly reliant on you being there and your personality, but then you want to take a couple weeks off to go on vacation or whatever, to unplug, the audience is that finicky where you're going to lose a handful of people.
Yeah.
It could happen also with YouTube too, though. If you don't have that right. If you miss a couple weeks, true, but the solution for YouTube is a little easier because, like we were talking, you can have a couple already in the can, and the cool thing on YouTube is you can set a release timer, I guess. Scheduler, right?
Yep. You can schedule a release. So, like currently on my channel, I got all the process projects videos that Jack and I were making, all of those locked and loaded, ready to go. So now, like for me, I'm still trying to grow my channel. So it's not even that I'm trying to take a vacation, more than I'm just trying to have a steady stream of work. So I'm going to do the process project stuff. In the meantime, now that gives me a little extra time because my channel is about storytelling through film and animation, right? So now I've been wanting to incorporate more animation into the filming thing, to more Roger Rabbit-y type of stuff. But that stuff takes a lot of time. So as I'm animating, getting stuff ready for that, I'm not biting my nails nervous that I'm going to miss a week, because I already have like my next 3 weeks are ready to go. And thank you, Jack, for letting me do that. It was wonderful.
You are welcome. My gift to you. Now, where the hell's my vacation?
It's coming. It's coming.
Cool.
Let's talk about TubeBuddy and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use those services?
I use vidIQ. So I only use the free version. I don't. For me, I'm always wary of when things want permissions or if they're integrated with your accounts, because to me that creates a backdoor to your account.
Yeah, that's true.
I use it. I mean, it's helpful. It lets you see stats that you normally can't see. It lets you see keywords and phrases and things like that. I used to use it a lot more than I do now, because tags on your videos aren't as important as they used to be. Honestly, even YouTube came out and said, "Oh, these are basically useless." I mean, it's interesting. I mean, they help a little bit, but like barely any. And I found that really interesting. But it's more so, even then, like it's like your title, your descriptive text, but the most important thing is actually is what you say in your video. Right. The only way YouTube knows what's in your video is by doing a text-to-speech dump of what you say, and then that uses that to categorize your video. And they don't tell you that, but anyone who's done, in the SEO world, that's how they have to do it. And it's very apparent when you talk about certain things in a video and then certain ads are showing up on the video. The only way that happens if they're referencing that material. So I do use vidIQ. I do recommend people use them. They're helpful in terms of an education sense. You can see how well videos are performing, the title of it, the tags, and that can help you just get a better idea of like, okay, well, for my own content, what can I do based off of these other videos that are succeeding to kind of frame mine in a similar way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. We got a question in the chat.
Landon said, is it a good idea to leverage both YouTube and also some sort of live thing, Twitch, Instagram, conventions, so that people see your personality more? Is that something you do or think about doing or trying?
Absolutely. I think the most important thing at the end of the day is your personality. It's not even the quality of your work. Like, you can make amazing things and still your personality is way more important, because I run into this issue, I still run into this issue. If the topic's not interesting enough, not as many people will show up. But if people are 100% dialed into your personality, you could upload a video that's just a solid black. It could be an empty video, and people would still show up. They would still comment. They would joke about it. Like, that's the place you want to be. So like adding, scoring those personality points to other social media. Twitter is a big one for me. It's funny. I'm super analytical on my channel, but like on Twitter, I just post memes. I mean, it's all about making people laugh.
The memes.
I mean, really, because like to me, it's like humor is the easiest way to resonate with someone on a core level.
Right. Yeah.
But also, in Instagram, showing photos of like what you're up to, silly photos. I think that stuff helps. And like the more, I think, I don't want to say vulnerable is the wrong word, right, but a lot of times people want to put out their best, my best images and things like that. I feel like that's only so important if that's, in terms of like, if that's actually what you're doing. But like, oftentimes I feel like for me, the lower the quality of the post, the better it does, because people, like, you don't come across as if you're trying too hard. It's just 100% natural. It's just stupid. I mean, if you look at my Twitter feed, it's awful right now. Like I popped up like a thumb, like in one of the Discord chats, we were talking about thumbnails, and we were just like photoshopping thumbnails to all hell in terms of making them like super clickbait and all these things, just joking around, and just like, it's just funny the things you come up with, and like really making people laugh on the internet is such a good thing. But also, Landon, you mentioned conventions. Conventions is a good one too. If you don't have an audience, I got a lot of viewers from submitting for panels at fan conventions, media expos. Whether it be gaming or animating conventions and stuff like that, typically the same people go to the regardless of their interest, they go to the same conventions. Before I had 1,000 subscribers, I could submit for a panel. I remember I did one on Nintendo 64 mysteries. It was actually, that panel when I walked onto the stage and refreshed my phone, that's when I hit 1,000 subscribers. Yet there were still 400 people in that room that didn't know who I was, but they're interested in the topic. And I gained even more people who followed the channel afterwards because they enjoyed my presentation. I was able to just have one-on-one conversations with them in the hallway afterwards. So conventions are really good for small channels because you can apply to give talks and things like that. And you have access to people, you know what they're interested in because they're attending specific things, specific panels or like stuff like that. And you can use that to score, resonate with people, make a connection, gain new audience members just from sharing your passions, and that'll convert over to your channels.
And score amazing books.
Amazing books.
No, think about it like this. Going to a convention is probably the best mailing list you can ever be a part of. Because everyone, say VidCon, everyone at VidCon is there specifically for YouTube videos, right? So, and then from in there, you have your different subsections. You have your animators and your story timers and your daily vloggers and your beauty vloggers and stuff like that. So, but still, all of those people are still there, and they're exactly your audience. If this is what you want to get into, right? This is exactly your audience. And those folks are going to meet you. And again, we say this all the time. Be cool.
Yeah,
be cool.
Don't be weird.
Because the last thing you want to do is go somewhere where there's no editing, there's no filter. It's just raw you right there. And if you're an ass, word is going to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
That's one of the things about being an online creator. Your foundation is your personality. If you turn out to be a sour individual, not only will your career sort of fall to shambles, but it's irrevocable damage. There's risk with it. I mean, if you're involved in some sort of drama or something comes up and now your search history, your people go to Google, autofilling stuff, that's bad. Future employers, if you're going to try to get a job, I mean, they're probably going to stumble upon it. So there's a lot of cleanup work you'd have to do. So just be careful with that kind of thing. But yeah, just be authentic, be you. No one really likes, I mean, this is what typically happens. A lot of times you meet your favorite creator, or if you're at a networking event, you meet someone who's really cool. If it's like you're approaching from the perspective of a fan, it's already a different conversation, especially if you try to sell them something. Whether it's selling them your own work, like, hey, check out my channel, or hey, do you want to subscribe to my channel? It changes the dynamic of the conversation because now they feel like, are you actually talking to me because you want to talk to me, or are you talking to me because you want to leverage me? Be a person, treat other people as people. Oftentimes, I think the best interactions, even with larger creators, when I was still small, was I just had a heart-to-heart with them. I'd be like, hey, how's your day going? This is your first time at the convention? How are you enjoying it? Like basically just talking to them as a person, regardless of what they do as their craft, regardless if they know that I know what they do. I think that's the best place to start.
Yeah. It's being authentic,
Right. Quick story. Jack was here for this one. Well, not here, but we were down at Creative Talent Network, and I bumped into this artist, animator, that I still completely love his work, and I don't even mind it much now, but it has been a few years. But we bumped into this guy, and I said, hey, I love your work. I'm a big fan. I got like the bonus level of his Indiegogo campaign that he was doing, and I got like a stack of his books and stuff. And this dude turned around and said, cool, did you see this book? And I was like, didn't I just tell you I just bought a pile of your books?
Yeah.
Like, oh man. And it crumbled my heart a little bit, but
yeah, it goes both ways. I mean, like the creators can be tainted in that way too, where it's like, if you're not being authentic, or like someone comes up to you and like, you have to understand like that person who's talking to you has dedicated a lot of their time to you.
Yeah.
They are one of the reasons why you're able to do what you do. Their viewership funds you on your base level through advertising and then whatever else you want to do. So it's like understanding that too, and knowing that every person behind that number is an actual person.
Right.
For me, it's like, the number of people behind my channel, like those are all people. They all have different lives, different situations. So that's a very good point in terms of like both sides of the coin. You don't want to be the super annoying fan who's trying to get something out of someone, but you also don't want to be the disconnected creator who doesn't even understand their audience.
Right.
Yeah. And as a creator, you have to remember all those people that you're talking to indirectly pay your bills.
Yeah.
So each one of those folks that are watching your content, they help you maneuver life. You need to give them at least a little bit of that respect.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But at the same time, don't get so comfortable that you're, posting pictures of the front of your house. You don't want to do that.
Right.
You don't want to be that comfortable.
I got another question.
Yeah, that leads into it.
Let's go through Elizabeth's question. Being an internet personality seems like a lot of emotional work. True. Kind of like being a minor celebrity. I say this as an introvert, though. Do you consider yourself an extrovert or an introvert?
Introvert, definitely. I think I'm pretty big on the whole Myers-Briggs thing in terms of the personality types. I feel like a lot of times introverts and extroverts are a little bit interchangeable based off of just the aspect of if they're passionate about what they're talking about. A lot of times people think I'm an extrovert because when I'm talking about something that I'm passionate about, I can talk forever and no one can shut me up. I'm definitely an introvert. I recharge when I'm not around people. I need my alone time. That's how I charge my batteries. Being an internet celebrity, yes, it is. There's a lot of, I guess, being someone who creates online, there is an aspect of it where it's taxing because people are, coming to your questions. They want to talk to you, all these different things. And it is like kind of being like a minor celebrity. Mm-hmm. And one of the greatest things is it does change your life a little bit. I mean, you might encounter someone at your grocery store who recognizes you, and it's kind of weird. Either they could be super cool, or they could be someone creepy who just kind of follows you around with a phone. You never know. I mean, I think it's like a lot of times people approaching you especially if you're an introvert, someone approaching you and popping your bubble, your introvert bubble, your space, is going to make that entire experience at that place completely different. You're not going to be in the state of mind you were before. So yes, there's some navigating of that. A lot of times this is also why some creators don't show their face. There's an extra level to that comes with it when you show your face. Obviously, I think you earn more personality points when people can see you as an individual and resonate with you and feel like they're having a conversation with you. But that's, I think, one of the biggest issues out of the gate is you can get the attention that a celebrity gets, but you oftentimes are not at the pay grade of a celebrity. So you have to figure out how you can balance your life to be more secure and things like that. It's definitely a very kind of long-winded answer, but I am definitely an introvert. And it definitely shows. I mean, I think it does show, but when I am passionate, I can talk and talk and talk.
Elizabeth is asking, what type are you?
INTJ.
INTJ.
I'm impressed you have it memorized. We just did it. We just did that at work a little while ago. Like somebody randomly put it around. There's one that was going around, and we just did it again. And like, it's always interesting. We had a couple other people already knew what they were. Oh, I'm this. Let's just see what it goes like. And they end up doing the test perfectly again to be exactly that. I'm like, but it was a different test. It's still Myers-Briggs, a different one. It's like,
there's one that's a little bit more fine-tuned than Myers-Briggs. It has a lot of different levels to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what's funny is when you take something like a Myers-Briggs, and for those folks that don't know, Myers-Briggs is basically like a questionnaire, and you mark off. There's no wrong answer. It's you just go through, and they're asking you a bunch of different questions, and you answer them. And at the end of it, depending on what you answered, you get 4 letters, and it tells you if you're an introvert, extrovert, outgoing, whatever, problem solver, blah blah blah. Anyway, and when I took it the first time, I was like, I'm completely unique. You have no idea about me. There is only one of me. And then the results came back and said basically you're an outgoing pain in the ass. And I was like, damn, they know me.
You fit these 4 letters.
These
P-I-T-A.
These define you.
I am a P-I-T-A. So we talked about TubeBuddy. I want to talk about one of the things that you briefly talked about in your book, the YouTuber journey. But it still perplexes me. Like I have, it's a big question mark.
That's a setup.
Spit it out. Spit it out, Carlos. Let's go.
How the hell do you Reddit?
How do I Reddit? How do I use Reddit?
Yeah, like they don't let you submit your own stuff, but then you did, and then it like.
Reddit is so funny. It is. I mean,
be interesting. You explain Reddit.
I think everyone has a love and hate relationship with Reddit, especially if you're an artist or a creator of some kind. Because what will happen is like some dude will post your artwork on Reddit or something, and it might get traction, but like no one knows who you are because he didn't bother to link to the source. And then you have the aspect where it's like people love sharing content on Reddit, but they hate when people share their own content. That is I mean, I get it because otherwise it would just be a self-promotion hub. Sure. But at the same time, it also kind of doesn't make sense because like the reason why you guys have content to share is because we're all doing this for you, and you guys are just freeloading off the content and sharing it around without crediting people.
I hear the passion.
Oh my gosh. So basically, in order to find success on Reddit, you have to basically manipulate Reddit. I mean, really, that's truthfully what it is. You play into people's emotions. You play into how people perceive things. That's also why I did for the YouTube video. It's like you pretty much have to also make fake accounts. You have to make an account. So I guess I'm going pretty far into it. But really, I mean, that's what a lot of people do. But the truthful answer is the reason why Reddit is the way it is as well is because a lot of people do, on the other side of the coin, want to go there and just share their stuff. Right. But the thing is, they're not being a part of that community, right? They're not actually contributing to the community in a way where all the people show up every single day. Right. And they're like, hey, we're sharing these. We're talking about these things. You're merely dropping something off because you want exposure. Right. And so I totally understand why they punish that, right? Or why people hate that. Because you don't really care about the people there. You just care about their eyeballs. Right. So that makes sense. But in terms of the Reddit post thing, is like you basically, in order to have anything succeed, my recommendation is share other people's work. Really go onto Reddit, find communities you like, share things that you're passionate about that aren't your own thing, and then occasionally share something you like, that you made. As long as you're balancing out things, I think it's a lot. And as long as you're being a part of that community, I think things will go better. Yeah. For myself, I was part of I commented and submitted stuff to the gaming subreddit, so that when I posted my imager sequence, they were much more open to it. And not, I think, because the thing is, like, if you show up, another thing is people who are serious on Reddit, they see a post, they might not even be up and down, thumbs upping or downvoting your post based off of what it is. They might check on your account, see that you're a newbie, fresh off the block, self-promoting, bomb you. Like, that's basically what they're going to do. But by having integrity on the account, by having shared a lot, being an active member of the community, when they clicked on my profile, it's like, oh, this person actually is here often. They contribute often. I feel like that let my post survive. Another thing you don't want to do on Reddit is don't link to your post. A lot of times you post something on Reddit, you send to people like, hey, upvote this, guys. It doesn't work. Reddit's keeping track of any direct outbound links. And if they see a bunch of them, they're going to basically shadow ban your post. So authenticity is super important on Reddit. Contributing is super important, but also structuring your post in a way where it doesn't come off as self-promotion is like the third aspect of the triangle. So it's definitely a beast. But like if you do everything correctly and you have a good story to tell and you frame it correctly, then your post can go pretty far. Like mine, I mean, my post made it to the front page of Reddit with like 17,000 upvotes. And it was literally called "My Friend Has a Creepy Van," and it was just a picture of like this rusted maroon van that you would probably associate with, you know, people abducting children. But like that's what was so funny about it, because like you click on it, obviously people are like, haha, internet humor, creepy van. This is the image or thread. They click on it. It's like, okay, you have this rusted van. Second image, full interior is decked out with like old Nintendo 64 stuff. Everything's integrated. And like, it was like, you want that hook.
Right.
From creepy van to I want this van. It's basically how that post did so well. And basically the idea was like, I knew if I posted a video link from my channel on YouTube, or sorry, on Reddit, it wouldn't have done well. But if I did an image or post that got a lot of traction and the people who made it to the bottom then checked out my link, I could still funnel some of that viewership to my channel. And the thing is, the post got about 2 million views. I probably got about 40,000 YouTube hits out of it. But when you're a channel who only has 300, 400 subscribers, that's a lot. That is a ton. Also, funny thing, if you make it to the front page of Reddit, you get invited to a secret society of people who have made it to the front page of Reddit. It's the weirdest thing because it's like this super exclusive club where no one knows what to do. They're like, hey, who are you? Oh, I posted my cat. I made the front page. Oh, I shared my friend's creepy van. I made the front page. Like, it's the weirdest thing because no one knows how to talk to each other. But it does exist. It's called, I forget what it's called, like the Golden Club or something. And it's only front page people get an invite there.
Yo, the conversation would be wild with those people.
Let's go
to the front page of the internet.
Let's go to the chat again. Matt Jarvis is asking, what is your view on collaboration with other creators? Is it necessary to grow, or do you feel you can achieve your own success without, quote, riding someone's coattails or tapping into their audience?
I think collaborations are nice because they do give you access to a new audience. I mean, if people choose to come over and watch from someone else, they're a good way to boost viewership. And it really helps out if you do have a solid foundation of content already. So that when people get to your content, they watch the video the other person's a part of, they can then binge watch your content. But again, a lot of times when people go into collaborations, they're like, okay, cool. I want to collaborate with that guy. He has 1 million followers. Or I want to collaborate with that girl. She has 5 million. And it's like, hold on a second. A lot of times they don't want to collaborate peer to peer. In that vicinity, it's kind of like exploitive. They're looking to leverage someone's following. Collaborations are definitely a good way to make friends. Definitely a good way to do get views. But at the end of the day, what I always tell people, I always try to tell people to like structure your path in a way where you can be successful regardless of who does decide to help you out or if people decide not to help you out. Because part of your strategy should not be winning the lottery with having a successful collaboration. It doesn't mean that people aren't important in terms of working with them, but definitely lay a solid foundation for yourself. Definitely take the time to make your things, try to make it sustainable by itself. And then the other things you do on top of that are the things that will only help you as you continue to create.
Right.
So Reddit, leave that alone.
Not unless you got a good picture of a van.
Yeah, right.
Or a well-groomed cat.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm trying to think. I had some more questions about the book, but I got notes up. Dude, I'm 3 pages. I'm 3 pages into notes.
I had like it's like kind of off topic. So you threw it in there really early on that you originally thought you wanted to write books.
Yes.
What, like novels, like fiction?
Yeah. And that's actually it's funny you say that. So my first book was nonfiction. The next one, which is I'm writing right now, is actually fiction, and I'm actually making there's actually no one really knows about this. I'm actually making a game right now that coincides with the book series.
Like a board game?
Like
a board game?
No, video game.
Ooh.
Yes.
So coincides means like it shares stories, or there's some sort of like benefit to consuming both.
Yeah, it's using a game to introduce characters in the book, so that people, if they choose to like the characters, they may choose to like the book. So it's kind of like a interesting dynamic. I know I want to make a game. I know I want to make like a kind of an internet ARG type of thing, but why not tie it to something that else I'm working on to introduce someone to a concept they may also enjoy.
Interesting.
I love that. How far along are you?
That's cool.
We don't really need to go down too far, but unless you want to. But like,
sure
how far along the gaming process, the game development process, are you?
Probably I would say about 50%, halfway done. It's we're implementing the artwork and animations right now. A lot of the actual programming for the level and everything, all that's done, or it's very close to being done. There's some things are being finished up, but like the general programming behind the game, how everything functions, how the characters move, all of that is close to being done. So now it's swapping out dev artwork, making the environment come more alive.
Look at Charlie. Oh, I thought Charlie was going to submit his resume.
It's actually, the interesting thing is like the project is actually, and the thing is, I actually haven't talked a lot about the game. It's kind of I will be in the upcoming months. I sort of announced it on Twitter. I've been hinting at it. It's funny, if you actually go through a lot of my videos on my channel, there are subtle clues about the game all over the place that very few people have picked up on. Actually, at the point where I've been injecting aspects of the game into other games that I'm covering in a video, and it blends in so well. But the thing is, the actual game is actually designed from a perspective of, it's a restrictive perspective. So think of how games were made in the era of the Nintendo 64 and PlayStation 1.
So you went isometric?
Not so much isometric, but in terms of poly count, in terms of texture resolutions, all that stuff. It's optimized to look and to play kind of like a game from that generation. Because that's also my fan base on my channel. That's what they tune in for. So it's kind of playing into that. So I'm really excited. It's a horror game.
That's awesome. That's crazy.
Nice.
I just finished a project, or this week, tomorrow, I'll just finish a project doing that exact same thing. Old school, like retro, everything.
I think it's awesome. I think so. A lot of times people are obsessed with the whole graphics and stuff like that, but I think you can share a totally different kind of experience by limiting your palette and what you choose to include and where you cut corners is the wrong phrase, but like
no, it's like innovative with less stuff. It's really interesting.
Take a look at what they did with Cuphead. They went all the way back.
Yeah, there's so many like cool pixel art. I mean, we end up doing voxel art that made it look like pixel art at the end, and like, or like we went even restrictive on the sound, all the sound design, right? Like we have people at work that are like really good sound designers. So like we used old school, like there's a thing, I don't know if you know this about like the Game Boys and like the Game Boy Colors. There's this whole
sound
genre
set, like
of like
synthesizers and stuff.
Yeah, of clipping and stuff that we use Game Boys to make all the music for the game we just made. Jack, if we just do a Google search on this, there's all these. The art director at Next Now, so he's really into like this. He started bringing in all these like little MIDI controllers and little and then also modded Game Boys. We also bought a couple old Game Boys and then modded them and then put a backlight in them so it could have the backlight. And then you just start playing through them, and then you hook them up through, the normal like mixers and all the other stuff and step repeaters and stuff like that. And we started making old school game music and stuff like that.
So
it was
cool.
Great. I may show it in a couple weeks. I have to, because this is by far the funnest, and that's not a word, the best project I've ever worked on at this company, like ever. It is amazing looking because of that. You start getting into it, start looking up old school stuff, and you just like get giddy.
Awesome. Voxel artwork too is like that stuff's so cool looking.
Yeah. We went with the voxels because we can't do the Cuphead thing. It'd take too long to do the actual Pixar. But like,
don't be quitters.
And it's not quitters. It's impossible to do the time frame.
Quitters. That's the. Yeah.
Have you seen voxel art? It's amazing. It's cool. It's really good. I like the sound design. I think I'm gonna buy some Game Boys and some other different things because this genre clipping. It's called something else. And I can't think of the word right now that they do. And like
it's like heavily compressed, but they're also, they're just limited by the output of the.
Right. And then when you throw it into another regular sound editing program or whatever, you can then start building your whole bars to build out these long songs. And we started listening to all the old school Zelda and all the other old school Excite by all the old school like sounds we needed because we ended up doing old school like racing type game. But like we listened to like Outrun and all those old games, Wipeout, and like those like epic like songs that they put in those games that went on for like 10 minutes that had breakdowns and breaks and like build ups and that stuff. It's amazing. It's funny. It's great.
Where did the name Swanky Box come from?
It's funny. So Swanky Box, that's what people say. A lot of people think it's from Swanky Kong. But no, it's actually when I started doing YouTube, it actually wasn't gaming. I created Swanky Box, the channel, back in 2012. I think it was 2012. 2012. What was the year? I think it was the year they had the Mayan Doomsday, right? Like the whole like end of the world prophecy thing. So my first video was a comedic take on the end of the world, and it was actually a comedy focused channel. So I did skits with some friends and just did funny videos. But the thing is, like, having people work on videos in a group is really hard when everyone's on different schedules and they live in different places. That was weighing down the process. Plus, I wasn't really, I don't know, after a certain point, I wasn't really feeling it. Like, I felt like I was trying to make these funny videos because I saw that's what people may have been doing at the time. But really, I should have been focusing on something that I could have done by myself that I could just align to my passion. Mm-hmm. But it came about because I need a name that was kind of funny, and coming up with a name is super difficult. And it actually started as a Crap Box, and then it changed to Party Box, and eventually I settled on Swanky Box because
Swanky Box.
It was I wanted a container of some kind because originally there was going to be different personalities besides me on the channel, and then the channel went dormant for 2.5 years because I gave up on it and just stuck to my job. And then that's when I kind of had I got to do this. And I just stuck with Swanky Box. I wiped the channel, private a lot of the stuff, and then started making the gaming videos. And then here we are.
Crazy. So what would you say? What's your one tip for someone that might want to get into being a YouTuber?
Kind of multifaceted. I'm gonna do two. One is don't let perfectionism or your lack of equipment keep you back. You don't have to have the best gear. It honestly doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I mean, start as long as you can create, start creating. If you do have time to invest into gear, invest into audio. People don't mind watching a low quality video where the video resolution isn't the best, but no one can listen to a microphone or audio that sounds horrible. They will just, if it's just irritating, they'll turn it off.
Or a microphone that keeps getting beat around.
Yeah. Which I've been doing this whole time, hitting it. I tried to silence it the one time, but my second. I wasn't
talking to you. I was talking to
my second tip would be to really take time to, before you even start, write down your idea of something that you enjoy. That might be a hobby or something, or several hobbies or something, and then think about, would you actually enjoy doing this full time if at some aspect of this at some point became sort of work related? Is that going to ruin your hobby?
Yeah.
That's important because you don't want to build a foundation on something just to realize like, oh, I've grown to hate this. Once you have those written down, seek out different channels that are already doing it. There's going to be some probably that are in the space. Find out what you like about them, what you don't like, and then tweak it in terms of like your own style, and then you can start making content focused on that hobby. I say do that pre-planning first. Don't let the equipment stop you. The pre-planning is important just because you don't want to just jump straight in and not realize that like you're doing something you actually won't enjoy in the future.
Right.
I think taking that time to kind of lay a foundation, even if you're 100%, not sure what you want to do, I think it's still important to do that so that you don't start working towards something you're actually not going to want to do.
And I think your story, I mean, not that you changed pretty radically. You went from being a comedy channel to a gaming channel focused on kids, and then you've moved over to a little bit older folks that actually make their own damn money and can pay for their own stuff. But you're exactly that. Like, even though you, let's say you start a channel and you're like, yeah, this isn't exactly what I wanted to do. If you want to switch, you can either start a brand new channel and tell your old channel, look, I'm going to investigate some new stuff over there. Follow me over there, or just keep doing the same stuff, not the same stuff, but do the new stuff on the old channel. And then just kind of like what you're explaining earlier, you're probably going to dip a little bit, but you'll bounce back if the quality is there.
It's depends. The only issue is if you pivot on a channel where you already have successful videos, that becomes harder because those videos, a lot of them are always going to bring in views. Like, videos don't really die. People always discover them and watch them. So what can happen is, say you had a video, I don't know, you upload about your pet or something. We'll go back to the cat thing. It's going to bring in people who like funny cat videos, and they might subscribe. And then what happens is you get a big subscription base, or a subscription base based on a funny cat, when in reality you're trying to make something else. But what happens is that funny cat video is always overpowering whatever you put out. Yeah. It will always outperform whatever you put out, meaning you're never going to escape the funny cat zone. It's always going to pull you back into it. So that's one of the things where like you either need to get rid of the video, private it, which is hard because if it's bringing in views, you don't want to do that.
Right.
But yeah, you definitely have to. There's situations where you can pivot. I mean, the benefit of a small channel is you can pivot if you haven't really made strides in one area.
Yeah.
But it might sometimes be better to start a new channel if you already have a foundation that seems to be working against the direction you want to go in, and trying to fight that is causing you problems.
Speaking of going in directions and everything, what we've learned tonight is you have a couple successful YouTube channels. You do public speaking, you do animation, you write books, you just started a video game, not just started, but you have this new video game coming out. Long-term goals, like what do you see for yourself in the future?
I think, generally speaking, I feel like the path of a content creator online isn't forever. Because truthfully, you may get sick of the craft, or what happens is, and you have this with a lot of big, so let's talk about gaming, a lot of big Let's Players, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens is, if a bunch of people subscribe to your channel who are in a certain part of their life, but then as time goes on, as years go on, they enter a different part of their life, where they're going, say they're in high school and then now they're in college, and they don't have time to watch anymore. Or I don't know, they get a job, they start a family, all these things, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
People transition, and what can happen is you can be left with a dead subscriber base because these people are no longer watching that content. So part of what I do is, my channel probably isn't forever. It's going to last many more years, I believe. Mm-hmm. But building out these other avenues, YouTube is merely your launching point. Anything you do online is merely your launching point. So YouTube is where I get my audience, and then what I do with that audience and the things I create based off that audience is where I can take it. So long-term goals for me is in terms of, books. I would like to, continue to do books. I would continue to turn my books into an animated series, continue to make games on the series, really taking that fantasy world and the fantasy elements that I already cover on my channel and building that out to something that's completely me. It may be on YouTube, it might be off YouTube. I think it's always important to, when you get into this stuff, is to always think of, well, one, exit strategy, but two, why not branch out? Because the thing about branching out is when you branch out, and this is something I talk about in the book too, even though I do YouTube, I do, I did paid consulting, I would do speaking events, all these different things that made me an income, because your livelihood is like this big river and it only has water in it if all these other revenue streams flow into it. Mm-hmm. So by doing that, if one of those streams dries up, you still have the safety net of these X amount of other revenue streams. Yeah. And that's super, super important, because you don't know if YouTube is gone tomorrow, or think about content creators who are in Europe with the whole copyright thing, that could prevent them from making videos. Their channels, I don't know what they're going to do. So that's something that always needs to be top of mind for this type of thing, is always thinking about what you can do beyond just uploading. I mean, there are some people who just, they create online, especially a lot of the popular gamers, and that's all they do. And then they make their living and they peace out. I mean, that could happen for some people. You might get lucky and that might happen. But for most of us, it's wise to build out a foundation, something solid. That way you can always prepare for anything.
I'm excited to see this game. Me for one, I'm excited to see this game. It's been an hour and 45 minutes.
That's the thing.
Do you want to hang out a little more, or
probably do about 15 more minutes? The thing is, I'm excited, so I'm going to push off the other stuff now. I love talking about this stuff, so it's I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, I could probably do about 15 minutes or so.
All right, cool. When you're not creating YouTube videos or coaching or writing books or animating or obviously not sleeping, what are you doing besides trying to catch up on sleep? What do you do in your pastime, or when you're on vacation?
Chill out. I mean, really, the thing is, because I'm an introvert, a lot of the things I enjoy are actually very, very simple things.
Yeah.
Walking, running, exercising, just being present, I think are things I enjoy. I love exploring nature, hikes. That's really, those things are interesting. It's funny
obviously cat videos.
Cat, I'm a big cat fan. I don't know if you've heard it like throughout the podcast. I've had my cats have been scratching at the door occasionally.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, the thing is, like, when you do something like this, it can be hard to separate things because, like, it's fun. Like, I generally enjoy what I do. I generally do not get tired of what I do. So sometimes we're like, okay, I got free time. What do I do? Like, what do people do who have free time? And like, that's something that honestly happens. Because like, it's hard to classify free time when you do enjoy the things you're doing. But I will say, being in gaming space, sometimes it's hard to play a game for fun. I have to play something outside the realm of, I don't want to play the Nintendo stuff for fun because that's what I do on my channel. So I try to play games that I won't cover on my channel. That seems to work pretty well. So I like video games. I like watching animated series. I like watching a lot of Netflix. Yeah, I mean, I have very basic needs, and so like relaxing typically is what I find my time doing. I used to be really into, a lot of people don't know this. I used to do breakdancing. I used to be into breakdancing.
Now you're talking.
So that was a couple moons ago, but
yeah.
That was, I mean, I still do a lot of the fitness aspects of that. I don't do the craft anymore. I'll probably die if I do, but that was, I mean, I love music. I love, I can't hold a musical note, but I can appreciate it.
Sure.
But I always loved the idea of people pushing the human body to its limits and what it can do. And breakdancing and b-boying and all that stuff was like really super interesting to me for a very, very long time.
My other project, or my other podcast, I guess, is associated to a documentary that I'm helping out with. It's called Midway, the story of Chicago hip hop.
Awesome.
So it's really cool to see how hip hop itself has like branched out and just captured different people in different ways, right? Whether, if you're an artist, like a painterly artist, they have something for you. There's graffiti, right?
Yeah.
If you're a dancer, boom. If you're a poet, we got you. If you're a producer, we got you, right? And it's just really cool to see how a party in New York turned into this big juggernaut that we call hip hop. Absolutely.
Yeah. The history behind it is absolutely fascinating. I think that's actually one of the things that once I found out about it, it drew me in even more. That's, I think, one of the reasons why I appreciated the series on Netflix, The Get Down, because a lot of times, like, the story of hip hop and all that stuff, like, it's not very, this is weird to say, it's not accessible. Like, a lot of times it is if you seek it out, but a lot of times in media, it's not covered in the true form, or like it doesn't give people a taste to want more. Obviously, the people who are into it will seek it out, but like I'd like to Get Down on Netflix because it made it brought it to a level where people could watch it for the entertainment aspect, and then realize like, holy crap, there's so much culture and stuff that goes into this, and then introduce and plant the idea, and then people can seek it out from there. Sometimes it needs a little push like that, and the people who are into the hip hop scene already know like everything about it and they enjoy it because of that. But like the general audience, a lot of times I think they look at it and they don't understand it. But I think stuff like that, whereas even if people who are in the hip hop scene, maybe they don't really approve of it, but I think it really helps paint a good picture of it for people to get involved.
Yeah. And quite honestly, there's so many different flavors to hip hop, specifically music, because that's at the forefront currently, right? If you don't like a certain hip hop, or if you don't like hip hop music, you haven't heard the right song yet. Because hip hop music is sampled off of the music that you already like.
Yep.
Old disco is sampled. Old jazz is sampled. Old blues is sampled. All that stuff. So if you don't like hip hop music, you have not. We even got what's it, Lil X Nas or whatever the hell his name is, doing country hip hop now. So if you don't like hip hop and you like country, listen, there's something for you there too.
Definitely. Yeah, it's that whole thing was interesting watching that blow up. Yeah. Cuz like I mean from the gaming space, he used to do like video game mashups of music.
Yep.
Yeah. That's where he like and then like transitioning, I'm not really transitioning, but like just throwing that country song out there and just literally changing his entire life from one song.
Yeah.
And finding that the country song worked, so he just went with it.
You see
all of his other
YouTube video where he walked into the it was a gym full of kids and he started singing the song and then the kids took over. He didn't even have to do the words anymore. All the
it was elementary school
was singing this. And they're all little babies. Yeah, elementary school, 5, 6 years old.
They surprised him. It was awesome.
I feel like
the school, yeah.
I feel like he's in such a good position too because he understands internet culture so much.
Yeah.
He knows how to crack the jokes, how to share the funny images. He understands that because that was his world before. And like so he takes the the mainstream following and he mashes it up with the internet following and he's in total control of like understanding. I mean, you look at his Twitter account, it's like anything he posts is fire. Like people jump on it. It's so interesting and so funny. That's such a cool story.
And he's pretty open about it too, and he tells people, basically troll the industry into becoming a superstar because it's not really country, and it was a really good song that he came up with based off of auto tuning his voice and doing all this stuff, and he just said, "Cool, well, just like we talked about earlier tonight, I'll just ride this wave here." Throwing some Wrangler jeans. Next thing you know, Wrangler sponsors him. And like
someone we'll ride it. He's got a music video.
Yeah, and then like in the video was and the song was catchy, and then like puts the right person on it. Someone else who's got used to doing one big hit. Every so often. It's like what the formula is. And so now the next couple songs he comes out, he can announce who he really is and comes out and do the music that he wants to do because he already has a platform based off of like, riding a wave. It's cool.
That's actually another interesting thing about the whole being a creator online. The opportunities for sponsorships, they're no longer celebrity grade. You don't have to be a big celebrity to partner with a brand. A lot of creators make probably 60 to 70% of their income through brand integrations because the benefit of it is basically you're able to cut out my old job. I mean, really it is. If you're working directly with a creator, you no longer have to go to a media company to then have them create an ad slot to promote your product or your message, which is going to be more expensive. Right. That step right there is going to be more expensive than actually working with the creator immediately. Right. But that part of the process also only gives you one half, because if you're a company and you have that done, cool, I have this video. How do I get people to see it? Now you're getting into pay-per-click, spending budgets on and getting this message in front of people, and you're spending tons of money, right? So what you can do as a brand is you borrow your platform, you borrow someone else's audience. So basically you can partner with a creator. A lot of times when I partner with brands, I get pretty much a lot of times I get creative liberties over how I do the message, everything about it. And they can just pay me directly and they don't have to they're not paying for the video production costs. They are only paying really for distribution. And a lot of times creators end up being cheaper than if you were to run a similar campaign through Google AdWords or Facebook ads, because you're not competing with you're not really competing with people bidding on words or keywords or phrases. But on top of that, it's actually better in my eyes because when you work with someone, you get an instant dump of their analytics, who's watching, their interest. YouTube keeps track of that stuff. As a channel, I can send that to a brand. They know if it's a fit. They know if 60% of your audience is watching on an iPhone. They're males, they're this demographic. Cool. We have an iPhone game. Let's work together. And it's really, really a good place to be in, because what happens is this is happening all over the place. The advertising world is going to turn to influencers, content creators, streamers. That's where it's going to all go, because it's much cheaper for a company to get that. They're saving tons of money. On top of that, we offer something that you can't get from a traditional ad. I'm not going to partner with a brand or product I don't believe in. Mm-hmm. So therefore, any product I push has already vetted myself and my integrity. If I ever betray that, I'm betraying the trust of my audience, and then you don't get that back.
Right.
On top of that, it's like getting a recommendation from a friend, because it's already vetted that process. I'm not going to work with someone I don't believe in. If it's a cool service, I'll promote it. If it's a cool product, I'll promote it. And it's like, for myself, like, I know nothing about cars, right? So if my car breaks down, I need to go to a shop to get it fixed. If my friend recommends a shop and is experienced there's a higher chance I'm going to go to that specific mechanic and get that work done. Same thing online. It's insane. Really, it truly is, because like, people will buy the stuff, and like, it obviously helps you. They know when they're purchasing this product, they're supporting you as a creator. Mm-hmm. And it's honestly crazy the amount of sales that can be generated. Especially like around like holidays and stuff like that. It's truly crazy. I just did a brand deal probably about a month or two ago. It's actually for actually, I don't think I have it around me, but it's a Nintendo Switch case. So it's like it's a physical hard case that your Nintendo Switch goes into. We put out a video out, and the video got probably 300,000, 400,000 views or something like that. Okay. Unfortunately, the thing sold out like day one. So like, I felt bad, because I'm like, I did not expect that to happen. But two, I was like, if you're going to be working with content creators, like, be sure to have the stock, because if you don't have the stock, then you're paying for exposure, and people are going to your site and they can't buy the product unless you have a pre-order set up or something. But a lot of times in these CMSs for buying things, when a product goes down, it's out of stock and the buy option disappears. But it's allows to just distribute really cool products, and really niche products too, because
but I think that seems to be like the key thing that I picked up from you, because actually Carlos and I were just talking about this earlier this week. I found myself unfollowing a couple of folks because I just feel like they've become ad men, and most of their feed is ads, and it doesn't feel particularly genuine. And I followed them originally because they were great artists, and yes, although like everything you said is true, and I really love that the ad is coming from them as an individual rather than a giant company. I guess that's better for me. But I think the key difference is what you said is you're picking on stuff that you truly believe in, and that's a niche product, and that resonates not just with you but with your audience. I mean, you're picking stuff that's particularly important to your channel and to your, like, the guy that I unfollowed is like an animator and VFX artist, and then he like partnered with Listerine, and I'm like, I don't see this connection. I feel so like my attention is being abused now. And so that's kind of when I was like, yeah, peace out. I don't need you that bad. So like, how do you balance? I mean, I think you already answered it by saying that you're passionate about the products and their niche, but like, how do you balance becoming just an advertisement versus your content?
I mean, I think it depends on the relationship you have with your audience. I mean, like, if I partnered with Listerine, it wouldn't make sense either. And the thing is, like, but also going into that, Listerine shouldn't have partnered with him, because the campaign isn't going to go anywhere. Like, no one's going to be like, that guy talked about Listerine. Hold on, I'm going to the store now to buy as much as I can. Like, it's not going to happen. Listerine is such a common product that, like, if you need it, you buy it. No one's going to convince you. I mean, the only thing you can do is fear is the only way you can sell Listerine, right? I don't want to get gingivitis. I got to buy Listerine. I think vetting those products and the types of products, like for me, it's like I have a gaming channel. Yeah. I mean, promoting games is super easy. Like if a mobile game wants to reach out to me, I don't cover mobile games on my channel, but people know X mobile game is supporting me, letting me make a living, and it's only taking up a small section of the video. It's different than a dedicated, like, hey, they sent me this tablet, and now this whole video is dedicated on this tablet. But wait, hold on, you got the product for free, or they're paying you. How can I really trust what you're saying? Yeah, like it's a different kind of world.
Right. And from what I understand too, even if you, as the creator, even if you are trying to give honest feedback, a lot of times the brands will come back and number one, they want to see the video before you release it.
Yep.
And number two, if it doesn't agree with what they want their messaging to be, then either they'll stop the video, or, they break that relationship.
Yeah, it used to be worse in the past. People used to be super, super insanely strict on like, you got to say that here's your script, just read this. And like, then it's like a lot, and this still sometimes happens. And it's embarrassing, because what will happen is people are like, okay, sure, I'll do it. Because they may not be super passionate about the product, but like, sure, it's a promotion. It doesn't do any harm. And then Christmas what happens is
around the corner.
Yeah. And then what happens is like that same audience member watches 2 other channels who are also being promoted by the same thing. And like literally everyone's just reading the script. And then what happens? The conversation in the comments is just like people making fun of it, and like not making fun of the creator, but making fun of the product. And it's like you're doing your guys a disservice by doing that. Now you're in the space where companies typically reach out to agencies. Agencies are kind of the buffer between the two, and they kind of help talk to the company and get them to understand, like, hey, give us some talking points, but you got to give these people creative liberty to create this message in an authentic way that makes sense for their audience. So you're seeing less and less of that. But when I did my first couple sponsors a couple of years ago, it was very like cookie cutter. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to be as effective as you think it is.
That puts you in an awkward situation, because you've spent a large chunk of time building up your audience, and everyone is coming to you for your expertise, and then you're just going to give them cookie cutter stuff. You know, that's,
I mean, it's also okay to walk away from deals if it comes down to that. Like if they don't, if your visions don't align, and even though you put in the, the cost of doing business, the aspect of reading everything out and getting on the same page, but then realizing it's not going to work because someone's very stingent about the message, then it's like, well, fortunately we can't work together. And I've done that and it's interesting because I've done that several times where I was like, oh, this is a good fit, we can do this. And then they were super stingent and then picky about it. And I was like, okay. So I walked away, and then they came literally groveling back. And I actually was able to charge more because of that. And I was able to do my message the way I wanted to.
Nice.
And that can sometimes happen too, because the brand's like, hey, we want this many views, right? We want the product in front of this many people, because they're used to selling stuff in the whole pay-per-click world. They're like, we have monthly budgets. This is what we're normally spending. We want this amount of views for it. So then they go to an agency saying, hey, we need these views. So then the agency's like reaching out to people. And if the agency doesn't get it, and then they get a bunch of people turning down the deal, well, they already promised this brand they're going to get these amount of views for it. So then now the ball's in your court as a creator. And that's another thing about the whole brand and sponsors thing can go on forever. An aspect of always charge what you're worth, and you may not know what that is, but when you take a deal that's not worth your time, you're basically damaging your value, but the value of everyone else who may be working with that company in the future, because they'll be like, well, this person did it for a very low amount when you were asking this, and you have similar audience sizes. How do we know? And then so that's an issue where people underbid because they don't know any better, and then these companies prey on creators. And that's a path that everyone has to cross as a creator, because once you start getting a following, they're going to come knocking. They are going to find your inbox, and you're going to get different deals every day, every week. So.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that you said earlier needs to be restated. As a creator, you have power.
Yes.
You're the one with the audience, right? If Listerine, for example, wanted to sell more Listerine, they came to you, that means that you're doing something that they're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And feel free to walk away, feel free to make that money, whatever, or adjust, you know. You have that power. Don't, and this goes for whether you're making content, whether you're going and applying for a job somewhere. You have more power than you think. They're going to make you think that you don't have that power, but you do. You can always say no.
Yep.
Right.
Or you can always work on it. Exactly like you said just now, you had to turn this brand away, but then they realized, no, we really need this guy, and they came back, and now you have even more power.
Yep. Yeah, and it's like a lot of times, another thing that happens in the space is brands will come. There's a lot of different campaigns you can do. So there's let's see, CPM campaigns, which is cost per mil. So you get paid X amount of dollars per 1,000 views. There's CPI campaigns, which is cost per integration, or installation, I think it is. There's all these different things where, like, a lot of times you get approached for really bad deals. Like, I just had a company reach out to me saying, hey, we want you to promote this game. And I promoted this game twice already through a different company. And I did a CPM campaign for those two. And this company is like, oh, we want to do CPI. CPI is bad. I mean, the reason why I say that is because it's literally only working. You only get paid when you make conversions. So it's literally, you're just making commissions. And the problem with that is you're cultivating and creating an ad for them that even if people don't buy, you're still giving them brand awareness. They may buy later down the line when they see it again. And a lot of creators get suckered into this stuff because they don't know any better. And a lot of brands take advantage of that, or agencies try to take advantage of that because they can get exposure and views out of things, and cheap conversions out of the process. And like, I always tell people, shoot down CPI campaigns immediately, unless there is like some sort of guarantee associated with it. Like, we'll pay you X amount of dollars, and then you will get, per integration, you get a bonus or something. Because so many people they try to approach with this whole CPI, and I get why they're doing it, because you could run an ad with someone, you could promote someone's product, and then nothing comes of it, and then you lose out completely. But like, I feel like it does a disservice, because anyone who's running TV ads or anything else, like, even if no one buys, technically you're still getting charged for that exposure, because that's what you're paying for. So, and it boils down to, you're the creator. Yeah.
Right.
You know, you're the ad, you're the exposure to the product. Selling product is none of your concern. Quite honestly, like, unless you own part of the company, but then, you know, that's not even a conversation that you need to have.
It depends. I mean, like, I think it really depends. Like, a lot of times people will say, like, oh, we'll send you a free product if you make a video on it. And like, if you want the product, cool. But a lot of times I don't do that. I mean, I would never do that, because to me, it's like, you're getting free advertising. Like, sure, your product is worth $100, but it costs you $12 to make, like, manufacture. So it's like, so, I mean, I don't mind. I mean, like, this right here, I'm sponsored by Display. They make these metal posters. I absolutely love the product. It's such a cool concept, because before I was even sponsored by them, like, I knew about them. I knew, like, if people bought posters, like, every time they buy a poster, like, they plant trees and all that stuff. Like, it's like 10 trees per poster or something. Like, that's cool to me. Like, it's like, when there's give back like that, and also it's just a cool product, I don't mind. But even then, it's like, make sure you negotiate a fair rate, make sure you negotiate things of that nature. Just don't do strictly commissions, because, I mean, you could, I guess, but I advise against it, just because you have to make a living, and you have to focus also on making your content as well. Just don't understate your value.
Think of this too. This idea just popped in my head when you were talking about, say someplace. I almost said a name, and you guys would have died laughing, but I'm not going to. Let's say there's a drawing tablet that costs $100, and they're going to send you a tablet to do a video for $100, right? How much time is it going to take for you to do the research, for you to do the actual writing, the recording, the music, all that stuff, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You are putting in way more time than that tablet is worth.
You're working like cents on the hour.
Yeah. Yeah. So unless there's like something added to that,
it's hard too, because like a tablet, it's like, and you get into the issue with like, this is why you can't do paid game reviews. It convolutes the actual review. Yeah. Same thing with the tablets. Like, I feel like it's hard. Like, if you're gonna sponsor a creator for a tablet, create a cool video with it. Have them work on a project and make something cool. Don't just have them review the tablet and like talk about it, because like anyone watching it is gonna know like this person got paid for this. Like I can't take it's gonna feel off, and like it's gonna affect the perception of it. And like I think companies need to be more willing to do creative projects where it's like give someone creative control, where they can naturally integrate your product in a way that like, hey, this was made possible because of this awesome tablet. I was working on X before and it was not as smooth, but like with this, I was actually able to get, and like just talk about what they made with it instead of focusing actually, this has, the pressure of the pixels is like this compared to these other, like, it's just like so off character.
And it gets cringeworthy when you see other YouTubers do it, even bigger names.
Yeah.
They do the cheesy segues and just like,
I've noticed it's getting more and more popular where you're like getting ready for the tutorial and they're like, hey, by the way, when you're done putting your thing, Squarespace, hey, right? And you're like, oh, you set me up, damn you.
I mean, unfortunately, that's like, it's hard because you don't want to start the video with the ad, technically. Yeah. If people are invested enough, they'll probably watch the ad at that point. Yeah. But if you have a front-loaded ad slot, say your video gets 80,000 views, there's a high chance, at least 70,000 of those people made it to the ad. Versus if you have an ending ad slot, sure, your video got 80,000 views, but maybe only 20,000 made it to the actual end of the video. That could work in your favor too, because that vets the people who are most engaged. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times people are looking for upfront, and I get it. I mean, it's just, unfortunately, the way I look at it is I've never been bothered by a podcast sponsor where they break away from it. And I think people are becoming more in tune with it a little bit for the creator space, because we've been putting up with the same format TV. Yeah. I mean, it's no different than like, exactly. You watch your TV, you're watching a show, it does the opening, and then suddenly it goes to commercial break. It's like, what? It's like commercials, opening commercials. Like, what? We've become accustomed to it. And I think that's why a lot of times, generally people are open to it, but I can see how it gets annoying.
I'm time checking, because we're gonna keep you here as long until you say stop.
I should probably pop. It's 2:30. I'm a night owl, but I mean,
I was gonna say, I know we're on borrowed time, and I just want to respect the fact that eventually you have to go to sleep. I mean, if you want to hang out a little bit more, we're gonna do what we call the fun prompt.
I should probably peace out.
Okay.
I still gotta do a thumbnail before I head to bed.
Cool. All right. Well, for those of you that don't know, Bradley has this book called The YouTuber Journey. It's definitely worth the read. I love how you broke it up too. There's 3 different sections. Basically, there's a bunch of chapters, but there's 3 different sections, and it's just, it's a really good read. I really liked it. And the three, basically the three, yeah. This this video has been brought to you by the YouTuber Journey.
I just PayPal'd you.
The beginning is basically your story, how you got into it, and then this middle section is just a bunch
mind dump.
Itemized
guide, yeah.
Just like, you want to learn how to do it here, and then it hits you. With the exception of dig, you didn't really talk about, or not dig, sorry, but
Reddit.
Thank you.
I haven't heard the word dig in forever.
Yeah, you said dig, and I'm like,
yeah.
Kevin Rose is gonna be like, what?
Someone just woke up. Oh, someone said it.
I feel like Reddit, honestly, writing an honest chapter on Reddit would be super controversial because, like, I don't know, like, it's such a no man's land in terms of like wild west.
Yeah, it's the last Wild West.
I mean, honestly, the thing is, like, Reddit in itself would probably require its own book, and like I
hear you.
Be a hard write. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, where can people find your book? And for that matter, where can people find you online?
You can go to swankyboxmedia.com. It's kind of my little site that I don't do anything with. Just kidding. I mean, it has a book on there. If you don't know the books for you, you can check out the sample chapters you can read. I always like give people a little taste of what they're getting into. You can find the book on Amazon. It's less than $20, I think. I'm not sure. but yeah, it's on Amazon. So if you are into, like, you want to create content on YouTube, basically it's an A to Z guide from starting from ground zero to building a career on YouTube. It's a book I wish I had when I started, so that I didn't waste so much time. So it's kind of my way of passing the torch back to the next generation of content creators, the people who are starting today, so they can do the same thing that I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you can find it on Amazon. You can also find it in certain bookstores. Like, this is Barnes and Noble copy.
You got the hardcover, son?
Oh yeah.
Fancy.
Oh, dude, that's it. I'm giving this one away. No, just kidding. No, it's totally worth it. And it's the good thing. As I was reading this, I was like, why am I enjoying this like as much as I am? Number one, it's someone that I know is telling their story. Number two, all them long ass names that you're reading and all those like fiction books, especially, like the troll names and the like, okay, I like nice simple names. Brad, that's easy. Like, what is it, the trilogy,
Lord of the Rings,
The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
those books are brutal. I have them and I get tripped up on it. I'm like, how do I say that name? I don't know, so I put it all away. Swanky Box Media.
That's a different type of website.
Do not go to spanky.com.
Do not go to spankyboxmedia.com. I guarantee you're in for a different kind of experience.
You can get a different type of
Swanky box
trending,
like a kinky loot crate
with unlimited Listerine.
Okay,
it is just a box of Listerine.
All
right. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on, and obviously it was awesome meeting you at VidCon.
Yeah, when I'm gonna do this in public, so you feel the pressure. When you're getting close to releasing this game, please come back on the show so we can talk about it, because the process of going from an idea of a game and actually creating the game, everyone has an idea for the next life-changing game. Not many people actually follow through. So if you will, please come back on and we can talk about the game and everything.
Yeah, I love it. I love to talk about this. I mean, the game itself is the same level of thinking that went to Reddit and my YouTube goes into the game, because I truly believe, I mean, that's a whole different topic. I would, anyone's interested in terms of because it's a horror game, there's a whole subset of horror games on YouTube and how they build these things out, and like they're just made to go viral. So I'm really excited to get into this and really play with people's expectations and send them on treasure hunts, so to speak, on the internet, and just kind of see how quickly they solve it, but also how quickly people can beat it, because there's so many different levels to the game. So yeah, definitely would love to pop back on when that's coming out.
Sweet. Well, thank you again for coming on. We're gonna jump over and do some fun prompts. So sleep well.
Will do.
Yes. Braving. It's already tomorrow where he is. So
awesome.
Technically where Charlie is too.
It's a pleasure meeting all of you. And we'll have to talk again soon.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, guys. Yep. Take care. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
So that means it's time for.
Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started.
All right, kids. Oh, hang on. Let me do the right thing. Here we go. Please chat, if you will. Start coming up with the categories. We're looking for 2, possibly 3. 2. But let's see. Last week, we did Bounty Hunter itching. Well, I guess 2 weeks ago. Bounty Hunter itching in Sumi style.
Nice.
Let's see what the nation did.
There's some good ones. Brace yourself.
Boom. Paddle Illustrates. Killed it.
Ooh.
I really like this.
This is an elevated fun prompt this week.
Oh, yeah. And looking at you, Joey Wall. Joey Wall, you crushed this one. We'll see in here in a little bit. Pat Illustrates. Dude, seriously. Amazing. I really like this. Let's see. We have Gus Frava Ilustraciones. Very nice. I like how he stuck with his style. Really.
Yeah. You still feel the style even though it's in a big...
Yeah, that's good.
And these mosquitoes over here on the side. Really cool. I like those.
They're huge too.
All right. Let's see what else. We have Coconut Justice.
Hey. Was this Fresco?
Yeah. No, yeah. And what's cool is when I went into Adobe Fresco and I looked in the ink section and they had Sumi brushes. And so I used it. I figured we're leveling up. So yeah. Sumi brushes for the win. Mike Allwood. Welcome. I don't remember ever seeing Mike's name. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Either way, welcome, Mike Allwood.
Line work.
Bounty Hunter, itching. Yeah, killed it. Did your thing, son.
Cool.
Joey
done some Metal Gear Solid stuff.
Joey won the internet with this one.
Did you do your own little signature there, Joey? What's the little imprint? I like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, completely sold the entire thing. I loved it. This was great. There you go. Joey wins the fun prompt for the week. Crushed.
All right, we've got animal and character.
All right. Animal, character.
We stick with those two and just go.
Let's see.
There you go.
A Falcon Leprechaun.
I like that.
Yeah?
I'm into that. Why not?
There you go. A Falcon.
That was easy.
Leprechaun.
Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe every day's a good day when you paint.
That was a really cool little conversation we had.
Yeah, tons of knowledge in there, guys. I'm gonna have to go back and listen myself a couple of times.
Yeah, and if nothing else, just the motivation that comes from someone who has done it, and I know you guys are probably gonna roll your eyes, but I don't care. There was back when I was doing Flash work, one of the things that I really liked about the Flash community was we had websites and we had conferences and stuff that we would go to, and people would share knowledge, and it's hard to find that. And so when we bump into people like Bradley that legit wrote a book on how to get started and how to stay motivated, he talks about multi-channel networks, which is MCN. He talks about cyberbullying. He talked about other stuff. We didn't even get into one of the stories that he tells in the book was when he submitted an application, or he was going to go do a speech at a presentation. And the night before, something happened where he almost died.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not just that he's Mr. Hustle and he's just got the wheels rolling in a really good way. It's like he's got a lot of human stories in here about how he started and then he stopped and then he started again and he started doing speeches and presentations and stuff. And then it's a really good book. And I'm not just saying that because I know the dude now. It's like I said, it's all the words are pronounceable. So all right, kids. Should we wrap it up?
Let's do it. That was a good one.
All right. Hey, Charlie, if people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me a couple different spots. Instagram.com/CharlieBW3. You can find me on that almighty Pinterest, Pinterest.com/CharlieBW3. My personal website is cargocollective.com/CharlieBWilliams. Check it out. Get in your life.
How about you, Jack?
You can find me at sketchbookjack.com and sketchbookjack mainly on the Instagrams.
Yes.
Oh, and currently right now also on Coconut Justice on YouTube in the process projects videos.
Ooh, plug.
Yes. Talk about mad collab. Speaking of which, coconutjustice.com, Coconut Justice everywhere else. And if you can hear my voice, please head on over to youtube.com/coconutjustice and take a look. I'm doing a lot of really cool stuff over there that I think you guys would like. This is Sketch Zone. You can go to sketch.zone and catch up because this was episode 188. So that means that we have 187 of other of these bad boys just sitting there waiting for you to consume. And while you're there, you can see that we're on Facebook and obviously YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, please do us a favor, subscribe. And if you're on Instagram this week, like we just announced, we're doing Falcon, Leprechaun. And what you want to do is, if you feel like participating, you go ahead and do your picture, post it on Instagram, go through the process of actually tagging us so we can then share it and then we show it live on the show. Usually we do it in the beginning of the show, but today, since Bradley is in the East Coast, we switched up just a little bit. And if you can catch us live on youtube.com/sketchzone, you see how we do. We had let's see who we had. We had Landon Longarm, we had Galaxy, we had Galaxy Gaming, we had Matt Jarvis, Gabriel Williams, Elizabeth. Hello. But what was funny was when he was talking about people finding you and harassing you and stuff like that. I wanted to say Noel's name so bad.
Oh wow.
I like, yep, she's a harasser. So yeah, so we try to have you guys be a part of the show as well by asking questions and doing all that stuff. But if you can't catch us live, you can catch us on obviously YouTube. You can catch us on Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, iTunes, and Spotify. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful week.
See y'all.
Guys.